Hello everyone, my name is Daniel Walzer and I'm an assistant professor of music and arts technology at Indiana University, Purdue University of Indianapolis. I'm very glad to be here today. I appreciate the MEIEA committee for the opportunity to present a little bit about my research. I'm grateful to all of you for watching this presentation, and I would just like to send my best wishes to everyone in the MEIEA organization, students, faculty, administrators, and partners alike. Just sending my best wishes that you're keeping well in a very unpredictable period of time. I think, for me, and I'm sure this is the case for many folks, that, we didn't necessarily expect that we would find ourselves navigating an uncertain future in the midst of a global pandemic. So I just would like to recognize that and thank all of you for being here today. So the title of my presentation is Building the North American Graduate Music Business Database, Pedagogical, Philosophical, and Theoretical Implications. And what this is about is my research involves looking at organizations, both academic and professional organizations, and how those organizations are training not only the next generation of researchers and practitioners, but also how are they evaluating their own practice. And I'm very interested in how particularly graduate programs in the music and entertainment and technology sectors are doing right by their students. And so what I'll be talking about today is this research that I don't know that it has an answer, but I hope it poses some questions that we can, as a community of educators, reflect on moving forward. So the first phase of this project dates back to 2016. What I was very interested in at that time, 4 years ago, was I started to notice that globally, both in the music entertainment and music industry and related fields, and that includes programs that involve music technology, I started to see that there was a steady period of growth in degree offerings, and I wanted to know a little bit about how these programs came about. I wanted to see if there were any common threads in these degree offerings, and so I started and focused primarily on North America, and the goal moving forward is to look at this globally. But I was interested to see what the degree classifications were, how these programs were housed, if they were in schools of music or if they were in business schools, if they were in other types of departments, in law schools, or if they were interdisciplinary programs. And so what I chose to do was to narrow these down into a couple of different specific pathways. One focused more on the music technology and creative sector or creative industries, music technology being a broad description of that, and music production, popular music, and so forth, and then also looking at this from the model of music and entertainment business. And of course that takes on a variety of different degree specializations: arts administration, marketing, certainly looking at programs that involve some kind of new media and promotion, and looking at programs also that are just specific to music business and so forth. And so what I found was that in building these between 2016 and 2018, I came up with a list of, I would say, 4 or 5 dozen schools across North America that were online and in person. And I wanted to see how they classified themselves, whether they were Master of Arts programs, Master of Music programs, MBA programs, or Master of Science programs, and just to try and see if there was any common thread among them. And so the specifics of that research are still, the data are still in the final organizational stage. But what I did find in that process of analyzing these degrees was a series of 6 questions. In noticing that there were programs that might not have been around a decade ago or even 2 decades ago, I know that when I finished my undergraduate degree in 2000, I didn't pursue a formal graduate credential in music business. And it wasn't for a lack of interest. I think I just didn't see that there were as many programs as there are today. And so what I found in my own journey and then in looking at some of these programs were 6 common questions. And so the 6 are here. And the first is, how does educational theory inform pedagogy? What role do corporations or arts organizations, nonprofits, and so on play in curricular design? How does teaching and learning evolve from a purely vocational model or a job-focused model with internships and co-ops and experiential learning to one that might also include a solid foundation in the liberal arts, in the social sciences, or more interdisciplinary courses, academic type courses, research skills and communication skills and so forth. Also, what strategies are those graduate programs undertaking to improve representation and inclusion in their local communities, in their departments, with faculty mentoring and community partnerships, professional advisory committees, and the like. I also got very interested in trying to define what might be considered a terminal degree. When we think of terminal degrees in academic fields, the doctorate, the JD, the MFA in some of the arts-specific fields, the Master of Fine Arts, and then certain STEM fields have the Master of Science. In lieu of any kind of formal licensure, for example, if it's not a teaching credential or a licensure at the state level, how does the field define what a credential is, or perhaps even what a terminal degree is? If for example, faculty members find themselves transitioning from industry to working in the academic field, how are their credentials evaluated if they haven't pursued the doctorate per se? And also, as it relates to ethics and a core set of guiding principles, what philosophies guide the field to explore its capabilities and future direction? And this one's a little, higher order in terms of its approach, but the idea of balancing theory and practice. How do we as a field evaluate what we're doing? Are we doing right by our students? Are we giving them the proper support, and are we encouraging them and guiding them in ways that will set them up to be successful? I think with rising tuition costs and job placement metrics and all of these things that are part of the bottom line, how are we attacking and trying to address those things in a way that seems to make sense for each individual department? And so, what I found in my research was that there weren't really any solid answers to these 6 guiding questions, but that they were guiding ideas that could be used for dialogue. And what I actually started to notice was that there's more of a semblance of intersection between the music industry and leadership than there is with management, for example, even though there's a lot of overlap and a lot of commonalities in these fields. And what I noticed, though, was that the music industry, or the entertainment industry as a broad descriptor, what are the classifications? What are the things that define them? And what I found were these series of concepts, and I won't read them all down verbatim, but the nurture and nature concept, those who have the characteristics to be successful versus those who can be taught and mentored, both draw on both the history and modern practice from the social sciences. Both must consider social and cultural setting. Both are very popular, but also not always defined, especially as business models and so on are so disruptive, and we're finding that today with the financial precarity of the entertainment sector in the midst of coronavirus. Both employ qualitative and quantitative research approaches, and both affect teaching and learning. And I would also say here the major focus on this is that because of the art and science of research and practice, both require praxis or kind of a balance of the two to be effective. And so what this has led me to generate in my own research is a set of theories that I would like to test out and to work with in terms of a professional development kind of approach, a Praxial version of, or a Praxial vision of leadership. You know, the idea of leadership being something that we use to build a type of buy-in. There's leaders, and then there's a set of followers, or there are leaders and followers. And so the idea here is that this is rooted in something that's not so much about job placement or graduation rates, but about more of an ethical and holistic idea that focuses on student and faculty wellness. It's balanced in both the academic and the job-specific type of training competencies, and that includes technology, the liberal arts, and the social sciences. It's intentional in providing and expanding canonical curricular and participatory opportunities. In this case, trying to bring in representation that is beyond, just music business or just beyond management, but that looks to what nonprofits are doing and look at other related disciplines. I think it's important for our field collectively to confront longstanding biases and privileging of particular groups in music technology, music business, the entertainment industry, getting away from the male-dominated perspective of things to one that's much more critical and supportive of pedagogy and andragogy, in this case, that adult learning concepts, adults who are non-traditional students coming back to school after some years. And then also looking at the ways in which we can revise and test a series of strategic philosophies and partnerships. And, the takeaway for this presentation is that for me, we find ourselves in a time that is so uncertain, and I think that this conference will very likely speak to that from a variety of different perspectives. We're seeing so many aspects of evil, of disintermediation in the music and entertainment sectors, not only from the record labels, but from the music business, promotion, arts, booking agencies, arts administration organizations are scrambling, as are symphony orchestras, and so many different areas of the entertainment sector. And so if we have these graduate programs, if we have so many of these programs that are focused on training, if you will, the next generation of practitioners, how are we doing right? And is this also maybe an opportunity that we can step back collectively as a field and come together, use this, I don't maybe like the word downtime, but use this period of change to drive change in a way that might actually set us up collectively for more success in the future. And that includes everything from expanded research, opportunities to collaborations between the nonprofit and corporate sector and graduate programs, and also that this would then trickle to the undergraduate level, even working in online and professional development type of opportunities for faculty members, instilling a stronger sense of research and writing skills for everyone in our field, looking at ways that we can disseminate and share our information in a win-win sort of capacity. So it's not just limited to the scholarly or just limited to a white paper, but much more organically shared. And I hope that is something that we can all agree on. So with that, I thank you very much for the opportunity to speak today. If you'd like to find out more about the research that I'm conducting, you can contact me through my website, danielwalzer.com, or Daniel_Walzer on Twitter, or DanielWalzer77@gmail.com. Thank you very much.